her needing money and that she didn't have money for cigarettes. Some craziness about being wanted. This is affecting my job. I have lost 12 hours of work a week. I believe that she's kind of figured out that the cops can't do anything without this harassment order.
Okay, well, I didn't touch her car. I don't know why she said I was shaking her car. I didn't. I've maybe knocked on her door twice for cigarette. And the reason why she's puking is because she drinks all the time. Yes, my mom was there with me, and they immediately got me arrested. No, I've never asked her for money.
Ms. Fuchsia, any word from Ms. McConaughey?
Nope. Okay. I'm pretty sure she's had about enough. She's literally throwing up in court. When we did the hearing, when we were trying to get the temporary order, she's puking her brains out in court. Okay. It's a stress response. She just can't handle it.
Okay. Well, thank you for being here. All right. So for the record, with Ms. McConaughey failing to appear at today's hearing, so I'll do a denial for 8-5, but I'll do that after today so we can get to the case with folks present. All right, so you've been here all day. I know you were also here last week or the week before, so I'm not going to belabor this too much longer. I'll go over my review of the record, and then I'll turn it over to Ms. Fuchsia to provide testimony, and then Ms. Woods in response. So as we've already talked about a little bit here, Ms. Fuchsia is the home health care provider for Ms. Woods' neighbor, Brenda McConaughey. Ms. McConaughey had a petition filed here based on some occasions of Ms. Woods threatening to harm Ms. McConaughey. And then there was an incident, turning now to the matter with Ms. Fuchsia, where in the, sounds like there was a car, Ms. Fuchsia was present in a car outside of the apartment complex where Ms. Woods and Ms. McConaughey live. And there was an incident there where Ms. Fuchsia believes that she was being threatened. There's reference to a police report. I didn't see a copy of that police report in the file.
I tried to get them to you. There's two, but we've had problems with the police department, obviously.
Okay.
I did include the numbers for the incident reports of what they gave me in the actual packet.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Thank you. And I did see that you've got the numbers in there. Okay. So with that, no, that's not a ton of context, but it's, I know it's late in the morning. So I think at this point, I'll hand it over to the parties here. So Ms. Fuchsia, if you could please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to provide is the truth and the whole truth?
I do.
Go ahead.
Okay. So from the very beginning, when I started working with Brenda, she had already made it clear she had been having problems with Miss Woods. And this would have been a lot easier if she was here. But so the first big one is...
Well, and if I could, I know this is going to be maybe a little tricky because your involvement here is directly related to another person who's not present. If I may maybe help...
stick with me, myself, and I?
Yeah, to the extent, and it's okay to talk about instances involving Brenda. But what I'm looking for with you in particular is that pattern of behavior
okay.
that is again can involve another person, but is also directed at you. So go ahead. Yeah.
So since I started working, she's come up to my car multiple times. She's asked me for money. I have a video actually on my phone of the most recent situation where I've waited a while to do this because I had questioned her mental stability, and obviously the video that I have on my phone will absolutely explain why. But at first she just didn't make any sense. And then she started coming up to my car, touching my vehicle, screaming at me about where I was allowed to park, where I wasn't allowed to park, which is part of where the cops came in.
And can I ask you a clarifying question?
Yes.
Are these multiple instances with Miss Woods coming up to your car, or is this was one?
Yeah,
okay,
no,
so these are just
like 4 or 5 separate situations.
Okay. And it's always, can you kind of paint a picture of what's happening? Is it you're pulling up to the apartment complex and she's coming out to your car?
So I will park because Brenda doesn't really like people in her place. She's kind of a hoarder. I can't do it. But normally we end up going to like a doctor's appointment, or we'll go and I'll take her to get her groceries, stuff like that. Like I do a lot of her shopping with her because she can't read. So I will park my car, and sometimes she overstimulates, which will make her throw up and it will make her have seizures, stuff like that. So I try to give her space as much as I need to. So where I park my car is right in front, which just happens to be by Sharon's apartment. And sometimes Brenda will leave me there sitting for an hour. And I don't do anything while I'm sitting there. I sit on my phone, I watch my TikTok, and I wonder if she's ever coming back. That's literally my whole day. So the first couple of times, I didn't really see like it was a huge issue. And I'm like, okay, well, you're just annoying. And that was fine. But she came up to my car one day and it was just too much. She came up talking to me about her needing money and that she didn't have money for cigarettes and how I needed to give her money. And I'm like, okay, first off, I can barely pay my own bills. I'm not giving you shit. It's not going to happen. Stop asking me, leave me alone, go away.
So, may I stop you? This is the anti-harassment calendar. Some colorful language sometimes just comes with the territory. To the extent you can, please.
Yeah. Okay. So that happened first. And then Brenda had came down. We were sitting in the car talking. I was explaining to Brenda what had just happened because I thought it was weird. And I'm like, I don't know why she thinks she can do this. And then she comes up to my car, knocks on my window, makes my client roll down the window and starts going on about, you can't park here, and some craziness about being wanted and asking us if we were wanted by the police or if we had warrants, and how we were drawing attention to her place, basically, and that we needed to move. And then she started yelling at us and screaming. And that was just the first time. So this has been an ongoing thing. The next, and not to mention her putting her hands on my car and shaking my car. And then I can show you the video on my phone if you would like.
Well, I can only look at evidence that's been submitted beforehand that everyone's had a chance to see.
I didn't know.
That's all right.
So there's that. So she's also made a point of having words with me when it came to asking my client for cigarettes, where I directly responded and told her that she needed to leave my clients alone. It has gotten to a point where the next time I had to speak to management of the apartment building about what was going on and how to handle it, and they pretty much told her cease and desist. And she had come up to my car again, same thing, screaming and yelling, and I literally had the school bus coming up. Can I stop you?
So you went to the apartment management.
Oh yeah.
And you had them, or they communicated your understanding to Ms. Woods that she wasn't supposed to come talk to you.
Yes.
Okay. Sorry, go ahead.
It's okay. So one of the ladies that was there, her son gets off the school bus at the same time. She came out and she heard us screaming. And by the end of this whole situation, I had 4 people who actually are clients of my company who receive home health care as well, standing in the doorway trying to figure out what's going on. It's gotten to a point, this is affecting my job. I have lost 12 hours of work a week. I am not comfortable going to work at this point, to a point where my boss has pulled me off of working there, which is a huge problem because that is my main client. And I can't deal with this. It is like, I'm going to end up getting fired. My boss isn't even supportive of me coming here and doing this and getting a protective order because it looks bad for the company, basically. But so does her coming out and screaming all these different times and me having to go all this extra way. And my boss, she's more worried about my client's health, and I understand that. But I have mental health needs too, and they're not being met in this situation. And it's become very threatening. Like in the hallways of the apartment complex, she's come out, she's had words, she's tried to swing on not only my client, but other people in the apartment complex. She has violent tendencies.
Can you tell me a little bit about the incident that caused you to call the police?
So the first time it was when she came out and she had put her hands on my car and she was shaking my car.
Do you
And
recall about when that was? No need for a specific date.
February 20th.
Go ahead, sir.
So as I had said, she'd come out and she'd shook my car. She scared my client half to death. She was puking. And I can't have that kind of behavior in my work setting, because not only does it make it very unsafe for me and my client, but it literally can get me in so much trouble, putting her in a situation like that and continuing to allow it without trying to take action. It's not okay.
You said that was the first time you've called police more than once? Okay.
Yeah.
Can you talk about some of the other times?
The second time, so I honestly believe that she's kind of figured out that the cops can't do anything without this harassment order. The second time, she's refusing to open doors. The cops flat out told me she does have a mental health history and maybe that's part of what's going on. And
When you say she wouldn't open the doors, what do you mean by that?
they were talking to her through the windows and
What
trying
made
to
you,
get her
what
to
made
come
you
out. And,
call police?
she was screaming at me in front of a school bus full of kids about where I was parking. But the cops had told her multiple times now that I'm allowed to park where I need to park, especially when it comes to my job. There's no reason I can't park there. She has no standing in even harassing me about this.
Thank you,
But
Ms.
she's
Fuchsia.
proven herself violent among the people in the apartment complex and towards my client that if I get into a physical confrontation, I can lose my license. Like all of my certifications, I can lose my whole career over this. And I'm not willing to risk that. Especially when it comes to having to defend myself, like I need to be able to do this.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Fuchsia. I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Woods. And this being your petition, you'll have a chance to make some concluding comments. Ms. Woods, all right. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to provide is the truth and the whole truth?
Yes.
All right, go ahead, ma'am.
Okay, I have hardly any recognition of what she's talking about because like 5 years ago, I moved in and after that, Brenda moved in and since then, I've maybe knocked on her door twice for cigarettes. And the reason why she's puking is because she drinks all the time.
So we're going to, similar with my comments to Ms. Fuchsia, we're going to try to, I understand Brenda's kind of part of this. But what I would like you to do is respond specifically to allegations that Ms. Fuchsia here is making about comments directed at her, coming out to the car, things of that nature. So we're going to try to leave Brenda out of it.
Okay.
And speak a little bit more about interactions with Ms. Fuchsia.
Okay, well, I didn't touch her car. I don't know why she said I was shaking her car. I can't shake a car. I didn't put my hands anywhere near her. I went like this at the window. And when Brenda was sitting in there, I remember 2 times, there was separate occasions where I came outside with a cigarette and she had her car running there for like an hour and I would go in and out of the house and lay down in my bed and call people and be like, there's this car outside and they're running their car and the energy from the car is like, it's starting to get to me, the noise of the car running. And so I'd go out and I'd smoke a cigarette and, she's in there and she's laughing or whatever, doing whatever she needs to do. And I thought, who leaves their person out there for that long, and
Can I ask you a specific question?
Yes.
So one thing that Ms. Fuchsia here said was that at some point she went to the apartment management and they asked you to stop contacting Ms. Fuchsia. Do you have any response to that? Do you agree that happened? Do you dispute that happened?
I don't know what that said. What did that say? The order?
So I don't have any cease and desist order in front of me. All I know is Ms. Fuchsia here testified that at some point the apartment complex management had asked you to stop contacting Ms. Fuchsia.
No.
Do you remember that? Or
no.
Okay. No. So you
No.
deny that happened?
Yes. Okay. And there was a separate incident where the kid on the school bus got off the school bus and into my yard and threw a house that my son had built, and he threw it in the yard and crushed it. And so the lady, I go, honey, you don't talk to strangers. That was my immediate reaction. And his mom goes, you psycho. And she started yelling at me, just calling me names, and because I was even speaking to her son. And so I go upstairs after they go inside, and I tried to retrieve an apology and kind of not necessarily force anything. I know that that would be a situation where I would not be allowed to be able to have contact with her. But I take medication. I think the girls ganged up on me, Brenda and Letitia was her name.
Again, I'm going to try to keep you just on.
Oh.
Yeah. So, I mean, what we're talking about here is just so, Ms. Fuchsia is arguing that, when she's there at the apartment to work with her client, that you are repeatedly coming up to her car and harassing her after being told to stop.
I remember maybe two incidences where I told her she parked in a fire lane and she was there for an hour in a fire lane. And I said, you need to move your car because you're in a fire lane.
Okay. What about do you remember being contacted by the police ever as part of these incidences?
Yes. My mom was there with me, and they immediately got me arrested, and I did time for that. And then I'm just proceeding with court and everything.
Okay. All right. As part of the allegations involving Ms. Fuchsia, you're saying you were arrested?
I believe so. For violating a no contact order.
Okay. Well, I'm not seeing any evidence of that. It sounds like, according to Ms. Fuchsia, again, I feel like I'm summarizing a lot of what you're saying, but so correct me if I'm wrong. There were some incidences where the police were simply called because Ms. Fuchsia believed that you were, harassing her at her car after being told to stop, and police were called, and you don't recall that occurring. All right, and so I think I'm hearing you saying you recall. I think you keep saying 2 times where you went up to Ms. Fuchsia's car and maybe asked for cigarettes. Do you remember the other time?
I think maybe I asked for a cigarette one time, and then she said no. So I said, okay. And then she started yelling and saying it was ridiculous that I even asked her, and just kept getting hostile and kept getting, riled up. And so I walked back to my house and just said, whatever, and then the next time I said, you're parked in a fire lane, and then she started going off again, and I said, whatever. And then it was like out of the blue that I got this no contact or harassment charge.
Well, and I want to be careful, just to make sure everyone's on the same page. You're not charged with a crime. What this is Ms. Fuchsia is asking the court to issue an order that would prohibit you from talking to her or coming within a certain amount of space of her, things of that nature. And if the court does grant that order, violating that order is a crime, but you're not here for any kind of criminal charge. So I just want to make sure you're aware of that. And so another thing, maybe this will help jog your memory, or maybe you'll dispute it happened. Another incident, it sounds like Ms. Fuchsia is saying that you approached her car asking for money.
No, I've never asked her for money. And Brenda said that she would kick me in the forehead. Okay. She just gets drunk and she just spouts off stuff like that.
Well, again, when we're talking about her, we're talking about Ms. Fuchsia, not Brenda.
Okay, I don't know Ms. Fuchsia. I've never heard of Ms. Fuchsia.
Okay. All right. Okay, thank you, Ms. Woods. Mm-hmm. All right. And ma'am, are you here for this matter there in the back?
I drove her.
You drove her? Okay. All right. Okay. Do you have any information that you would like to I mean, you don't have to, you're just the driver, but
Well, I always work for the mental health provider.
when you say her, you mean Miss Woods? Okay. Well, so in civil protection order cases, the the court hears primarily from the parties involved, the petitioner and the respondent. If a non-party witness is what we call material and necessary to making a decision, the judge can hear from a non-party witness. You're not necessarily a non-party witness. Frankly, I would like to know a little bit more about Miss Woods' background. If you are willing to share any information you're able to, I would welcome that. If not, that's okay. You're not under any kind of obligation for that. So, and if I take your silence as you don't want to participate, which is.
I don't know what she's talking about either.
Do you have, ma'am, do you have information just on the apartment complex where Miss Woods lives that you'd be comfortable talking more about? Or I guess I can ask Miss Fuchsia about this too.
Layout, that sort of.
So Ms. Fuchsia, one thing that concerns me is, as I sort of explained there to Ms. Woods, when an order is in place, violating that order becomes a crime that's punishable by up to a year in jail and a $5,000 fine. And part of my concern here is that if there's some issues with behavioral mental health, setting up a situation where we have a pretty serious potential for criminal charges in a context where there may be some issues with what's going on. And so sounds like you work with this apartment building a lot. Is this an apartment where it's assisted living? Is there staff there that helps folks? What's the
So
situation
it's
here?
like senior, I want to say senior living.
It's more, it's run by King County Health Authority.
Where is it? Is it?
It's in Olympia.
It's in Olympia.
It's in Olympia on Martin Way.
Yeah. Okay.
People-
Is there staff there that helps folks?
No, that's why I come in for Brenda like I do, is because we're basically contracted.
Yeah. Okay. So there's folks who no staff at the apartment complex
I
necessarily.
mean, there's office staff, but
Like professional, like
No.
behavioral health staff. or
no,
anything
there's
like that?
not. It's not that level of care,
Okay.
which is why, like, I made a point of trying to explain, like, I do believe she has some mental health issues and I'm trying to recognize that. But I also need to worry about my own safety and my job.
Understood. Yeah.
Like, and I definitely do recognize that there are repercussions for this, that she may not understand or she may appear not to understand. But in the end, I am not responsible for her mental health or her inability to handle that. I'm the one who has to handle these repercussions if she doesn't. And that's not fair to me or my job.
I understand. All right. Ms. Woods, is there anything further you'd like to say, ma'am? Well, so going through the elements of unlawful harassment, here's my findings here that, having reviewed the evidence, the petition, having taken testimony, I do feel that Ms. Fuchsia has met her burden of proof as far as outlining incidents of repeated contact. I know, Ms. Woods, you're disputing that contact has occurred. I do find that Ms. Fuchsia has at least shown, more likely than not, that the conduct that she's alleging happened has occurred, and has occurred in the context of it being given notice that it's unwanted contact. The question that I had really was the level to which Ms. Fuchsia was able to demonstrate this type of repeated contact created reasonable, substantial emotional distress. I think Ms. Fuchsia was able to address those questions that I had, in that this incident has broader ramifications for her ability to work at this particular apartment. Sounds like she's taking some has some adverse consequences from work, from her hours. And so I think that the allegations are what I'm finding, in fact, these incidences are creating an atmosphere that's creating a reasonable, substantial emotional distress for Ms. Fuchsia. So I do believe that Ms. Fuchsia has met her burden of proof here. So Ms. Woods, what that means is, again, you're not charged with a crime. What this means is the court's going to enter what's called a protection order, protecting Ms. Fuchsia. It's fuchsia like the color.
And
Can
I say something really quick?
Yeah.
Can I say something really quick?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm sorry. It's just that I think the specifics of the order need to be put in place, because I thought the order was already in place. And before the court hearing, I was sitting in a group of people and Brenda just walks right up to one of the people, and I had to immediately go in my house and call 911. And, she just totally she was oblivious, she just kind of was inebriated or whatever. And she just walked right into me, and thought that it didn't apply to her.
So I'm gonna explain this to you, all right? And I'm gonna see if you have any questions after I do that, okay? And this is also for you, Ms. Fuchsia, if you have any questions. All right, so first of all, this doesn't involve Brenda at all. This is just between you and Ms. Fuchsia. So Brenda's not a part of this order, all right? So what this order does, it's in place for 1 year, and it prohibits certain types of conduct and communication between you and Ms. Fuchsia. All right, I'm going to go over those with you here in a moment. Okay, and the first is no harm. So you're not allowed to cause any physical harm, bodily injury, harassment, threats, anything like that towards Ms. Fuchsia. All right, so that's the first provision, and you'll have you'll be able to get a copy of this order. Not here, we have to still upload it into the file, but you can get a copy of this from the Thurston County District Court website. And if there's folks that can help her access those documents, that will be available for you as well. But I'll go over them with you here. So you're not allowed to harm Ms. Fuchsia. You're also not allowed to contact Ms. Fuchsia. So what that means is you can't talk to her. Doesn't sound like there's any allegations that the two of you have each other's phone numbers or anything like that, but you're not allowed to text, call, talk. You also can't do any third-party communication. So you can't tell Brenda to tell Ms. Fuchsia this or that. So there's just no contact between the two.
Yes, sir.
As far as exclusion provisions here, I want to be careful, because one thing that I can't do is exclude Ms. Woods from her own house, and it sounds
Absolutely.
like
And that's not what I'm asking. I
Right.
just want to make sure she can't come up to my car or me and affect my job.
right. So it sounds like when Ms. Fuchsia, when you pull up to the apartment, you are frequently within around Ms. Woods' apartment. I see in your petition you asked for 20 feet.
Yeah, like literally just sidewalk to her place.
Yeah. Can you, so help me get a layout here. So is this, when you say it's Ms. Woods' residence from where you park? So there's a parking lot, there's a sidewalk, then does it go up to the?
So.
Yeah.
We'll say the front of the building goes like this, kind of like a curve.
Okay.
Okay, so main entrance is right here.
Yeah.
So there's an apartment here and an apartment here.
Okay.
I tend to park right over here at the end, and I've had the cops tell me I'm perfectly fine to park there. There's no reason why I can't. So I am literally in between where her apartment and her neighbor's apartment are in distance.
Okay.
Isn't that a fire lane?
We're not, and that's not being addressed. Right now, we're just trying to figure out how far away your apartment is from where Ms. Fuchsia parks, because we don't want you to, there's nothing that prohibits you from going home, is what we're making sure that your ability to go home and come to and from your front door isn't affected by this. That's what we're All right.
So, I mean, I don't know if it's 10 feet, 20 feet, but there's a pretty good amount of grass right there. So, I mean, either way,
Yeah.
10 feet, whatever,
Okay.
it does not make too big of a
Sure.
difference.
Okay. So I think what I'm going to do is put 10 feet, and just reason being, I want you to feel like you're protected sufficiently. But at the same time, considering, you're going to be at the apartment complex where Miss Woods is, I also don't want Miss Woods to.
Yeah,
get
like I'm
involved
not
in
trying to be
trouble. So, right.
unreasonable with it at
Yeah,
all.
no, I understand. So I think hopefully 10 feet, that's a good distance where if she starts encroaching on what that kind of seems like, personal space, that starts to become a
just
violation of the order.
My bubble,
Yeah, so Miss Woods, what that means is there's going to be a 10-foot buffer around Miss Fuchsia, so herself, as well as her vehicle. You put your residence in the petition as well.
Mine?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it will be her residence as well. So what that means, Ms. Woods, is the restraint provision here says do not come within or knowingly remain within 10 feet of Ms. Fuchsia or her car.
Fine
or her
with
home.
me.
Right. And so
I don't want anything to do with her.
Great. Okay. And if it happens that the two of you incidentally are around the same area at the same time, that's it's knowingly remaining within that space. So again, 10 feet is pretty close. So I don't imagine that happens incidentally. But in the event that it does, you exit as soon as you can. Right. It's remaining within that space. That becomes a violation of the order. Do you have any questions with that?
No.
All right, so again, there's the no harm provision, the no contact provision, and the exclusion provision. I know, Ms. Fuchsia, you asked for a couple other things in the petition around mental health treatment, chemical defense. That is in there. These orders are written sort of assuming many different types of scenarios. We
Yeah.
often don't put that as part of this process. So those are going to be the provisions here. Do you have any questions about that?
No,
Those
I
three
mean, as
restraints?
long as like she's already made it clear she's on meds, she's getting mental health, which is something I was concerned about.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't care as long
Yeah.
as it changes
Okay.
and the behavior is corrected, then that's fine.
Okay. All right. Very good. Well, again, I'm going to finish this order after the calendar today, and it will be available to everyone here later this afternoon.
So it will be emailed.
Yes, it will be emailed. It's also going to be accessible on the court website. If there's instructions on how to access it. Do we email it or is it just available online?
It's usually available. I can email it.
Okay.
Can I give you my email so I can take care of this with my work today and everything else? I'm really bad with technology. I'm not gonna lie. That's why I work medical.
Yeah. Did you receive the service packet via email? Do you remember?
I don't know. I normally try to do everything on paper. I know it sounds really old,
Yeah,
but
just verify what it is and I'll make sure that that's it.
SERO.
Yeah, that's the one that we have.
Okay,
iCloud.
yeah,
Yeah.
if you would.
All right. So we'll send you a copy.
Thank you.
All right. Ms. Woods, do you have any questions?
No.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you both for being here. Typically, what we like to do is when an order goes into effect, excuse the party separately just to make sure everyone feels comfortable. And so, Ms. Fuchsia, if you don't have any other questions, ma'am, you're free to go.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you, ma'am. And Ms. Woods, if you want to just hang tight for a few moments here, and we'll get you on your way.
Okay.
And what's your name back there?
Donna Sherman.
Donna German. Thank you for being here as well, ma'am, and for being Ms. Woods's ride. Do you have any questions, if to the extent any of this impacts you?
Nope.
Okay.
Just to know what, keep reminding her.
Sure. Okay. All right. And yeah, this order will be available on the Thurston County District Court website if she has questions about how to access it. All right. Well, thank you both. At this point, you're free to collect your things and have a good rest of your day.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.